Cares for the Caregiver. Heard every Friday from 1 to 2 p.m., Linda and her caring and knowledgeable guests will bring you education, information, and resources, as well as a shoulder for caregivers. That's Connecting Caregivers Radio with Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregiver, where you can find help and hope every Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Ain't it good?
Hey Tampa Bay, Tammy here with the BCC Coupon Book. Tune in during drive time every Thursday, 5 to 6 p.m. on the Tan Talk Radio Network to hear the BCC Coupon Book radio show. We feature local small business owners with great deals for many services and restaurants in our listening area. And anyone interested in branding your business and getting your name out there, give us a call at the BCC Coupon Book, 727-804-6082. Have a great day, Tampa Bay.
Are you a writer, inventor? Do you have questions about your intellectual property rights? Well, tune in every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 11 o'clock for Joy on Paper. Once a month, I will have a special guest, the writer's legal eagle, Bill Larson of Larson & Larson, who can answer your questions. Protect your valuable work. Email me your questions to patsy.radio@gmail.com and then listen in every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. right here on Tampa Bay's Tan Talk Radio Network. That's patsy.radio@gmail.com.
Tune in Saturdays from 3 to 5 p.m. for Miss Sarah's Dynamic Gospel Power Show. That's 2 hours of great gospel music every Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m., all brought to you by the Ozona Pig Restaurant in Ozona. Yes, that's every Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m. It's Miss Sarah's Dynamic Gospel Power Show. Tune in on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Tampa Bay's Tan Talk, entertaining and informative radio for the Sunshine State.
Hi, I'm Billy Martin. Whenever a team goes out and wins a big game, I like to have them over to celebrate. How does Billy Martin satisfy the whole team of hungry ball players? Hey, no problem. I just pick up some Yankee Franks on the way home, then throw them on the grill, because I know that Yankee Franks and baseball players go together, like Yankee Franks and baseball. Dig in, men. You see? Yankee Franks have the taste that takes you out to the ball game at home. Colonial makes them.
Welcome. My name is Dave Kaplan, director of the Yogi Berra Museum and Learning Center, and I'd like to take you around, show you some of the cool things we have here at the museum. Well, let's start here, because this is really where the first organized game of baseball was played in Hoboken, New Jersey in 1845. All these guys here who look like Abraham Lincoln were the ones who played the very first game, which was devised by a gentleman by the name of Alexander Cartwright. Came up with a scheme of a diamond, and baseball was developed. You know, we look a little bit about Yogi's early years, and here he is, 9 years old. He grew up in a St. Louis neighborhood called The Hill, just made up of Italian immigrants. There's his dad who worked in the brickyard. His three older brothers. They played a lot of sandlot baseball back in those days because there was no little league, there was no organized leagues.
We came out here to the Yogi Berra Museum. It really brings me back to my youth. We were just in the room that had all the yogiisms, and even though they sound a little bit goofy, if you think about them, they all make an awful lot of sense. So things like it gets late early out there really makes a lot of sense.
Yogi Berra is such a big part of American culture that they named a cartoon character after him, Yogi Berra, in 1958. And to this day, he's probably the most quoted person in the country, and I don't think his popularity knows really any limits. He's really one of a kind. He's really an uncommon, common man.
Reach out, oh, red and sleep. Reach out, with red and sleep. Take me out to the ball game.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. Welcome to Reach Out with Ray and Steve. This is the show where East meets West, where the Yankees meet the Dodgers, and baseball meets music. And then we all come together for community. All right, now it's time for Ray and Steve.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. I am not your host, Carmine Elvezio, and welcome to this special episode of Reach Out. Now, I'm the engineer behind the show. I pop up the photos and videos for those who see at home. I'd like to give a special shout out to the Tan Talk Radio Network with Bobby behind the glass, everyone tuning in at AM 1340, AM 1350, AM 1400, FM 106.1, and FM 104.3. If you'd like to join in on the conversation, please call us and join in at 727-441-3000. That's 727-441-3000. Now, first off, I'm going to get us started talking about Bat Boy. Unfortunately, Bat Boy was postponed this weekend due to medical circumstances amongst the Bat Boy family. However, the good news is we are prevailing and we are keeping going. So the rest of the cast will be present at the next show. And thank you to the venues and everywhere that we are performing at for allowing us to postpone the event instead of canceling. So our first performance is going to be at the Boys and Girls Club in Mount Vernon. That will be Thursday, August 4th at 1 p.m. We'll be presenting Henry and Me. Then Saturday, August 20th at 52 Park in the Bronx, we will be having another performance of Bat Boy and a special showing of Henry and Me from 4 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Lastly, we will be returning to the Yogi Berra Museum on Monday, September 19th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Special performances by Dave Rebels, Chris Milo, and the rest of the Bat Boy cast. That's Monday, September 19th at 7 p.m. Now, I would like to keep going, but before we do, we're going to have to talk Subway Series between the Mets and the Yankees. The Mets unfortunately beat the Yankees 6-3 last night. However, before we keep going, I'm going to bring on our two hosts for this evening, Robbie Robinson and Billy Martin Jr.
Hey.
Hey, guys.
Hey, man. How's it going?
It's going good. Robbie, did you check out the game last night?
I didn't. You mean the Yankees game or the Dodgers game?
I'm talking about the Yankees game.
Oh. No, I didn't, but I heard about it.
Heard about it? Well, here, let me tell you real briefly.
All right.
The Mets won 6-3 against the Yankees. We all had a fantastic time there at the Subway Series. I was there with Ray, Steve, and it was a fantastic night. The views were immaculate. Unfortunately, the Yankees did not prevail. However, everything was beautiful about the day. A special shout out to Ray and Steve for an amazing time. Before the game even started, Ray had a chance to go on field and interview Nestor Cortez.
Wow.
Let's check out the video.
Everybody remembers this man. Everybody knows this man. One of the most popular Yankees in New York City. Tell us how you feeling.
I feel great. It's fun to be a part of the Yankee organization. And I love that the fans are always behind me and rooting for me. So I appreciate all that. And hopefully I can bring more moments of joy to the fan base here in New York.
Hey, in New York, we had guys like Sparky Lyle, like Mariano, and now Nasty Nestor. You have become a cult figure. What does that mean to you?
Like I said, it feels great. I see a whole bunch of mustaches around the ballpark. I see a whole bunch of Nasty Nestor shirts. So it's always a good feeling to see that and realize that you have a lot of people behind you and supporting you the whole way through.
You might be making a movie this winter. Is that true?
I have no idea about that.
You will be hearing the offers.
But if they approach me, I'll be willing to listen.
All right. Good to hear. Hollywood, he's coming.
Oh, yeah, that was awesome to see. Nestor's an amazing Yankee. And before the game even started, we had the first pitch thrown out by a fan favorite on Reach Out, Darryl Strawberry.
1986 World Series champion, Darryl Strawberry. Our starting pitcher is Patrick Mazika. Darryl, it's your pitch.
That's cool.
Oh yeah, that was awesome to see you in person.
Now, there's a connection with Strawberry and the Dodgers, and there's a connection with the Mets and the Dodgers. You know that, right? Don't you, Carmine? And I know Billy knows that.
Oh yeah, and as well with the Yankees as well.
Absolutely. I just can't get over Nestor's mustache. I mean, that's really a bad look.
I wonder where he got it, Billy.
I wonder where the inspiration came from.
Okay, well, I'm trying to represent because I'm getting on a flight tomorrow headed to New York for Old Timers Day.
Oh,
and,
cool.
In the immortal words of Hank Williams Jr., it's a family tradition.
That's for sure. Your dad, he was one of the early guys that sport a mustache too, wasn't he?
He did. And it's funny. Every time I do it, my mother still gives me a hard time about it. She hated his mustache too. But what are you going to do? It's all you can do as a Yankee, really. It's all you can do to express yourself as a Yankee. You can't go with the beard. You can't go with the long hair.
Do they still have a thing about no beards with the Yankees? Is that still the thing?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's hard these days. But
you know what, though? It's kind of neat, though, that somebody still adheres to the old days and their traditions. And, I think that's not only a testament to the Yankees, to maybe a testament to George Steinbrenner.
Yes.
That, he held on to that stuff hard, and I respect that a lot.
I do too. I'm with you 100% on that, Billy.
Awesome, gentlemen. If anyone likes to join, please join in on our call. And now, before we leave, I have one more thing that I need to say. For the Subway Series that happened, we had an amazing moment between a Met who hit a home run. Let's check out this moment because this shows how baseball meets community.
You didn't have to.
Hey, so you got a homer tonight, give me my buddy.
Let's go!
That's driven out to left field, and Hicks goes back, takes a look, and it's out of here! Eduardo Escobar with a 2-run homer to put the Mets in front.
You didn't have to.
Hey, so you got a homer tonight, give me my buddy.
Let's go!
That's driven out to left field, and Hicks goes back, takes a look, and it's out of here! Eduardo Escobar with a 2-run homer to put the Mets in front.
For those who can't see the video, it was a video of Escobar promising a young child that if he hits a home run that night, that he will give him his bat. And that night, he did hit a home run. So that was beautiful to see. Gentlemen, thank you so much for having me on. And now we're going to have Billy and Robbie take over. And special guests will be popping in throughout.
Hey, Billy. Hi. So by the way, I am still rooting. I am lusting. I am praying, wishing, hoping, and praying for Dodgers and Yankees to get back together in the World Series. Are you ready for that one?
I'll tell you what, man. It almost sounds silly, but come on, they're the favorites, right?
They are the favorites. Yep.
Absolutely. And that's so old school. That's just one of those things that goes back to the old days, to the 50s.
Yep.
The Brooklyn Dodgers. Think about this. From 49 to
81.
Only one other non-New York team won a World Series at that time. I mean, can you imagine being a baseball player in New York back then?
Can you imagine being your dad as a baseball player in New York back then?
Yeah, I can because I think about it a lot. We used to talk about it. They used to go hang out at a bar called Toots Shores.
Yeah, sure.
Dad, Mickey, and Whitey would go hang out with the Rat Pack, with Sinatra and Gleason and Dean Martin, their buddy Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah.
And if I could have been a fly on the wall anywhere, I would have been there to listen to those stories, to hear what was going on. Gleason had them all drinking Jack Daniels. And
I can only imagine.
That's why Sinatra was buried with a bottle of Jack because of that.
Wow.
Call it the nectar of the gods.
And I found something fascinating in that opening monologue or that opening clip from the Yogi Berra Museum that they had the very first baseball game was played, they said, in Hoboken, New Jersey, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And, Frank Sinatra is from Hoboken, New Jersey. So everything emanates from New Jersey, the music and baseball.
Yeah, how about that? I mean, think about that. Yogi Berra Museum. I mean, that place is so crowded, nobody goes there anymore.
I love it. Yeah. Hey, you know what? And Yogi, what a guy. This guy transcends baseball in so many ways. And that museum, if you have not been to the Yogi Berra Museum out there in the audience, you owe it to yourself to get by there because it's a special place, and they've got to go and see Bat Boy there. How cool will that be?
Yeah. Awesome. I mean, the guy had 10 rings.
I know. Nobody, I don't think anybody else has 10 rings, do they, Billy?
I don't know.
Think so.
Who's more clutch than that? I mean, it's pretty neat that guy was. And even think about that. The fact that Casey Stengel started throwing him in the outfield just to get his bat in there. Who else did that?
Right.
Speaking of those days, I just found something out, Robbie.
Okay.
I reached out to a friend of mine, Dale Prochaska, with the Hall of Fame to see it. I think my father did something that he was the only one to do in baseball history.
What is that?
His first 2 at-bats in the major leagues came in the 8th inning of a game in Fenway. Casey Stengel managed him 2 years before in the Pacific Coast League.
Oh, wow.
They won that whole league. That was 1948. My father chose to room with the first black player to play in that league. And
wow.
He took a lot of pride in that, and they took a little crap for it, but he wore it proudly, and he and Artie were friends for life.
Wow.
A year later, Casey gets the Yankee job, wins the World Series, right? So now he's got some pop. So he says, hey, sign that little Dago. I want him on the team. And Dad sat there for probably 8 or 9 games before he even got in. Casey wanted him as much for this,
wow,
for this, and for the mouth, as much as he did his ability to play the game. And they're beating the tar out of Boston. They were up by like 7 or 8 runs. And so Casey lets him lead off the 8th inning. And Dad, in his first at-bat, hits a double.
Wow, how cool.
He gets up again in the same inning and gets another hit. So his first 2 hits came in the same inning of his debut. And it started hitting me. It's like, how many times could that have possibly happened in baseball history? And they checked, and it looks like 4 players actually got 2 hits in the same inning in their debut.
Wow.
But none of them, it was their first 2 at-bats.
Wow.
And so that's a first. And come on, being a Yankee, getting those first 2 hits against the Red Sox had to make it that much better. And the great Joe DiMaggio looked over at my father and said, way to break in, kid.
Boy, they had some Italianos on that team in those days, didn't they? With DiMaggio and Yogi and your dad.
Rizzuto.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hey, Italians can play the game. There's no doubt
you know
about
what? Now, look who's here.
Ray didn't get me a ticket at Yankee Stadium, so I have to get my own ticket at Citi Field. Go figure. I got my Yankee soda and my Yankee peanuts ready to go. It's the second inning, 0-0. But guys, thank you for filling in. Carmine did a great job at the very beginning. But we have Billy Martin Jr. and Robbie, you love Tommy Lasorda. So let's check out these guys when they were really doing their work, arguing with the umpire.
I love Tommy and Billy together, man.
Off the mark. This might be the one that gets him gone. And you're right. And Lasorda has a parting shot for Harry Wendelstedt.
Gets away from Munson. It heads for the dugout, misses it, and Perez stops at second. It's a wild pitch charged to Figueroa. Here's the pitch. Looked like a breaking ball. Thurman tried to backhand it, couldn't find it for a minute.
Every time you throw the curve that breaks away, it bounces the other way, Joe, doesn't it?
Sure does. It's a play you just have to practice in spring training, boy, and you hate it. Lee Wyer's calling time. Bruce Fleming is calling time now at first base. They got some jawing going on. Billy Martin and Fleming.
Oh, he threw Martin out.
Here we go. Bottom of the ninth inning, and now Fleming is going after with Martin.
I tell you, I thought in the World Series you had to have a little patience. Something a lot of the Yankee ball players have said, Joe, they're not taking anything away from the American League umpires, but they figure the American League umpires don't want to make it look like they're giving the Yankees.
Hey, it's a good thing they didn't have either Billy or Tommy mic'd up, you know?
What do you mean?
Man.
Okay, in that one, yes. But there actually were times when it was just an act, Robbie.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Dad would run out there and be doing all this and saying, hey, you want to go have a drink later? I got to act like I'm mad as hell at you right now, but I really think you got that call right. But I got to get mad and act like I'm caring. So kick me out and let's go have a drink later, you blankety blank.
That's the rest of the story, isn't it? And I love Tommy he threw those curveballs and he always was pointing, you know, with his bent fingers like that all the time. It was amazing. You know, how did your dad get along with Tommy?
Oh, they were so tight, Robbie. One of my favorite pictures is of the two of them at the 77 World Series.
And yeah.
And Dad, you could tell, has been crying. He's so happy he just won that one. And they're hugging. And you see this look on Tommy that's like, really, Billy? I just lost. But you can feel and see the love between them. Because, I mean, that Italian blood back then, it was special, and Dad really loved him. I mean, they really got along great, even though as players.
Well,
there was a moment, and I've never heard my father talk about it. Tommy would talk to me about it years later. But I've talked to people that were at this game when Dad was traded from the Yankees to the Kansas City Athletics. Tommy was pitching against him and threw at Dad. And Dad ran out to the mound to fight. And from what I heard, Tommy retreated a little bit, and it was a chase scene, and they ended up I've heard from somebody who's there. But the funny part was Tommy told me this story every time I saw him at the winter meetings. He'd take me and we'd go have a drink together. Yeah. And it was kind of fun. The older he got, the more the story got pumped up a little.
Oh, I'm sure Tommy could tell a story like nobody.
Absolutely. And so the way he told it to me was the last one anyways was the best one. And I threw inside and knocked your father down. And he looked at me and gave me this look. And I said, how do you like that, Dago? You big-nosed Dago. There's the picture. Look Look at
That's
that.
a great, yeah.
You could see how Dad was crying. You could see how Tommy's a little bitter, right? Because he just lost, but he knows how much love there is between those two guys right there.
And both of them are baseball lifers. Both of them lived and breathed baseball. I think your dad, I mean, if I'm really objective, your dad was a better strategist on, baseball on the field, the X's and the O's and all that stuff. I think Tommy was probably a better at getting everybody to tug the same direction. I mean, he could corral anybody to, as a general in the Army. They both are great at everything they did. And both of them are, by the way, there's one big difference. Unless we probably get into it when Kevin comes on the show. But Tommy's in the Hall of Fame. Your dad should be in the Hall of Fame without a question, without a doubt,
Oh, it'll happen one day, Robbie. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves.
Yes, yes.
But the thing Tommy had, think about this, he was a lifetime Dodger, right?
Yeah,
right. And because of my father's nuances, whatever you want to call them, that caused him to move around. But that even made it harder for him to have that winning percentage that he did.
Right.
And his winning percentage is better than 10 of the managers in the Hall of Fame right now.
Wow. Wow.
And
See, then that makes no sense why he's not there. Just like my buddy Tommy John, who should be there too. And I know Jim Cott just got in, and Jim Cott has been going around saying Tommy John should be in too. So
sure. Well,
but by the way, there's a Dodger connection with Yogi Berra that I wonder if you know, and you're a baseball genius, but you may not even know this, and I'm going to share this. Yogi Berra, as you know, and many people know, he and Joe Garagiola were boyfriend friends, and as they mentioned in the opening segment, Yogi Berra grew up on the Hill in St. Louis. Branch Rickey gave them both, Yogi and Joe Garagiola, a tryout for the Cardinals when Branch Rickey was the GM for the Cardinals. Branch Rickey signed Joe Garagiola, and he told Yogi, "You don't have a career in baseball." Now, everybody initially thinks, well, that's because Branch Rickey obviously didn't see the talent that Yogi Berra had. Well, the rest of the story is this. Branch Rickey, who was one of the great GMs of all time, a great baseball man, and of course signed Jackie Robinson. He was going to the Dodgers the next year. He tried to sign Yogi Berra to the Dodgers the next year, but Yogi had already signed to the Yankees. So what would have happened if Yogi was a Dodger? But it never was meant to be.
Wow. Yeah, but they had a pretty good catcher on that team back then.
Yeah. Roy Campanella. Another Italiano, by the way.
These Mets guys, all these fans around here, I can't take it. The orange and blue. Anyway, we're having a good time. But we have to get Kevin Kernan on, the great columnist formerly of the New York Post.
Yeah.
On podcast. We can talk baseball with Robbie and Billy, but no one does it like Kevin Kernan. Kevin,
yes.
Thanks for joining us on the show. And what do you think about this Subway Series, Kevin?
Well, you can't beat the Subway Series. I think this one, because both teams are in first place, is really special. I think you can tell by the energy, and you're there, so you know it. But both teams in first place makes a big difference. And it shows what New York is all about, and how much we love baseball, going all the way back to, Billy's time. And while you guys were talking, I was enjoying the conversation. I was thinking back to 1977 when I
hate that year, but go ahead.
1977, I played in a media game, and Billy played.
Wow.
At Yankee Stadium, because that's what it was back then. You had a little more fun with the guys, and they're playing a media game against Billy was fun, and always the deal with him was fun. And through the years, I become good friends with Gossage, and I've known Billy for many years too. And you're right, he should be in the Hall of Fame. And I'm gonna make a comparison, see if you guys agree with me or not. I think Billy is a lot like Leo DeRocha.
Yes. I've always thought that.
Less baggage, because Leo was suspended that year for associating with gamblers.
Right.
Of course, now if you're associated with gamblers, you'd be having you'd probably be on MLB Network. But Billy, I tell you what, could you imagine Billy in this kind of Subway Series too? And Billy against if you could go back in time and just have a fun day, I would love to see Billy against Buck. That's a pretty good combination.
Oh man, how cool would that be?
Yeah, and also don't forget the Oakland days, what he did, and all the teams really he was around. The thing that comes through is how much he loved baseball.
Yeah.
And, he had his issues, but the bottom line was this was a guy who loved baseball, loved the Yankees, and really, I say it all the time, the Hall of Fame needs to get people in there that people want to go up there and see. And
absolutely.
You got to do that, and of course it's not them; it's the veterans committees now. But they really need to take a look and get Billy in there. There's a bunch of guys that I would love to see get in there, and some of them, I've been pushing for Gil Hodges.
It took him forever for Gil Hodges, and that was a no-brainer.
Wow.
Huh?
I found the first column I wrote in New York, and I wrote some things out in San Diego before that. But in around 2000, I wrote a column about why Gil should be in the Hall of Fame. And now, of course, everybody's, Gil should have been in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's the same thing with Billy. Billy's the same type of guy. So
absolutely.
Let's make the Hall of Fame really, truly fun. And if you got some warts, everybody has some warts. That's what makes it so much fun and makes it, we can argue, we can do this, we can do that. And the Subway Series, one other thing I want to say about it, to me, the fascinating thing about this Subway Series is both teams will realize maybe where they're short and they need to make a deal. And so this Subway Series is coming at a perfect time for the Yankees, I think.
Okay, question for you, Kevin. The Soto sweepstakes, where's he going to land?
I still think, this is a tough one. They talk about the Cardinals, but I just don't see it. I mean, they have the money because they have all that. If you've ever been to St. Louis, they have that whole area behind the.
Oh, I love St. Louis. I'm from that area. I know it well. And we just, by the way, with Frankie Valli, we just played a concert, and our hotel was literally across the street from the Cardinal Stadium.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Great baseball town.
Yeah, great baseball town, and he'd do well there because they would love him. But I think that team has too many holes. I think, to me, and tell me what you guys think, but the Dodgers I think the Dodgers will wind up with him. But I think the Yankees, it's a no-brainer for the Yankees. When you already got Aaron Judge, who's 30 or whatever, this kid 23, it would be a great, a smooth transition. It'd almost be like Babe Ruth to Lou Gehrig. I'm not saying players, but you got to start thinking like that. And I think the Yankees need to really step up. You can't and I know Cashman loves his prospects, but you can't let that stop you here. I would love to see him go to the Yankees, and I think the Mets could make a good deal. But will Washington trade? I know Mike Rizzo very well, another nice Italian man, and he will take the best deal. He's not afraid to deal with the Mets. So if the Mets step up to the plate, he'll make that trade with them. So I'm hoping it comes this year, though. And I think for the Nationals, for them, it's best for them now because I think he has a higher
value
trade for him because you get 3 years out of him, three runs. So we'll see where it goes.
What do you think, Billy? Where do you think Juan Soto is going to land?
Well, if George Steinbrenner were still the boss.
Well, hey,
we have no doubt.
That's a no-brainer.
We have absolutely no doubt where he would have ended up.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll say this for Brian Cashman and Randy Levine. They keep that in mind. They think about what the boss would want. So I'm sure they're working it. Although I have heard some rumors that the Yankees may be making a trade with Kansas City. So if that's the case, it could be a Benintendi,
right,
and or a Merrifield, which probably would cost a lot less than a Soto.
Yeah.
Because, but Let me ask you guys something. Have you ever heard of anyone turning down $500 million?
That's a new one for me. That's 23 years old, turning down $500 million. Crazy.
Well, Scott Boras is back there, so
Yeah.
it doesn't shock me with Scott, knowing Scott. And I think Billy's onto something, because I think the Yankees always take the path of least resistance when it comes to these trades. Remember going back to Clint Frazier and some of the other deals they made. When, going back to Garrett Cole, they could have got Garrett Cole from Pittsburgh if they just stepped up. So, and many times, and we've talked about it on the show before, but Hal is not George. He doesn't want to be George. And so I think that's the biggest problem with the Yankees making such a trade. That's why I think it's a great opening for the Mets.
And let me throw this in from the West Coast perspective. Obviously the Dodgers are one of the big contenders for Soto, but here's one reason why I think the Dodgers are really going to go all in on the Soto. Because the Padres are also want to go all in, and I think the Dodgers would go for him just to block the Padres from having him.
Sure.
I totally agree. I think the Padres have overextended themselves with guys they've got. I've watched a lot of Padre games this year, and I know it's starting to drive Bob Melvin nuts. They don't play good sound baseball.
They don't. Oh, now Tatis is still not in there, but they'd have a heck of a lineup with Tatis, Machado, and Soto. I mean, that's kind of.
Don't forget, Tatis and Soto are close friends. That's
okay.
Big part. He's selling that. He would have been a better salesman if he didn't get on the motorcycle and hurt his wrist, though.
You think? That's another one. But that goes back to the thing. Okay, you pay somebody $500 million, and then how much does he play? I mean, look at the Nationals with that pitch Strasburg. I mean,
well, Mike Trout right now. Mike Trout has.
Yeah,
that's a scary thing. That's a scary thing. So, Billy's been in this business his whole life, so he knows about it. And I could see the Benintendi thing and Merrifield simply because they are. First of all, Benintendi's a really good outfielder. I think he would really help. He would help anybody. I know there's all this stuff about him not being vaccinated and stuff, but it's still America, and you can do what you want to do with your
Amen.
Body. Thank God.
Right. It's your inalienable God-given right as an American, right?
Exactly.
But this Soto thing is going to happen probably in the next week or so, and it is going to be a big deal once it goes down somewhere,
I think
right?
Right to the wire, and I still think I think your team, Robbie, is going to wind up with them simply because the Dodgers they have a ton of prospects. They have a good organization, and they're not afraid to go for it. And it's like I always said about when you come to L.A. to play baseball, it's the same thing as San Diego, but it's a step up in L.A.
Yeah,
you see everybody there. But these players. They walk on that field and they say, the first thing they say is, oh my God, it's like this every night, perfect weather,
Right.
And
perfect weather and 50,000 people in the stands.
50,000 people and all the beautiful people are there. So why wouldn't, whoever gets them, you're going to get your money back because you're going to sell all the money rights and everything else. So,
well, let's dream about
one thing.
Hey, let's dream about this
13% state income tax.
Yes.
That's a good point. Let's dream about that lineup, though. You've got I don't know where does Soto fit in with. You got Trey Turner, you got Freeman, you got Mookie. I mean, that's not a bad. And then you throw Soto into that mix. That's a pretty good lineup, wouldn't you say?
It's an athletic lineup. Yeah. I think it's a monster lineup and Freeman and everything else. But I actually can make the argument that they need him in their lineup. I think they're still a little short, and we'll see where it goes. But it's going to make it a great week. And like I said, the Yankees are getting a little. Yesterday they got a little bit of like a little wake up call from the Mets. And this, by the way, is my cup from the 1978 Yankees. So
those 2 years were horrible years. I like to think more about the 1981 Yankees.
Yeah.
or the 63.
I didn't like 78 either, by the way. I watched that World Series with my father, okay? And we're in Texas. He'd been fired, and we're watching the game, and I'm cheering for the Yankee players that I like to do well, but I want the team to lose.
Right.
Yeah.
and my father finally looks at me and goes, "Who are you cheering for, Pard?" And I said, "Well, not the team that fired you." but I couldn't cheer against the guys I loved, and so I was hoping that every guy I liked would hit a line drive right to the third baseman, and he's like, "Hey, stop it! Those are my guys. We're cheering for them. I'll be back."
Oh, I love that picture. By the way, Tommy, I think, would just as soon shoot Reggie as look at him after both those years. First of all, the home runs, which just stabbed Tommy in the heart, the 3 home runs in the one game. But then the next year, when he puts a cherry on top by sticking his rear end out there to block that double play. And I remember seeing on some All-Star game or something, Tommy and Reggie were both being interviewed by Costas or somebody. And I thought Tommy was going to jump over the table and start choking Reggie.
Well, that's the passion we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
And that's missing in the game. I was talking to, it might have been Jim Cotter earlier in the week, but I was talking to him about they keep taking away things from the game we love. And Billy exemplified it. Billy playing turning the double plays, going hard into second base.
Yeah, look at that. Oh, what a picture.
Hit and run, aggressiveness. They keep taking those things away from the game, and they wonder why people don't watch the game anymore. It's not about mic'd up players. It's about action.
Right.
Action. Let's get action back in the game. Let's get some personalities managing these teams. I would love to. I wonder what Billy would do with the nerds. That would be an interesting aspect.
I can answer that for you. Okay. Because I hear this all the time. Oh, your father would have hated analytics.
Well, he liked numbers, though. Your father.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's where people are wrong. He would have loved analytics. He would have embraced it. But with a capital B, he still would have gone with his gut.
Yes.
Whenever he felt like it, and would have gone against the analytics just to do so. Because if everybody thinks this is going to happen, he's going to do the opposite, because that's what made him special as a manager.
Yeah.
He was 3 steps ahead of other managers, really, in so many ways.
Okay, so here we're talking about the Subway Series. And here's a cool testament to the Steinbrenners, the Yankees, the Mets, the whole situation. Think about this. A year ago, when the Yankees had that terrible start, I heard that Randy Levine walked into Hal Steinbrenner's office and said, "What would your father have done right now?"
Wow.
Your father would have gone out and brought Billy Martin back. Well, we can't bring him back because he's been gone for a little while, but the closest thing out there is Buck Showalter. And Hal thought about it for quite a while and said, "You know what? I'm not my father. I'm going to stay the course." And look how both decisions would have been right?
Yeah.
Buck's proven that Buck is great. Look what he's done with the Mets.
Yes.
Hal's proven that maybe staying the course was a great decision also, because look what the Yankees are doing right now. And, and Hank Steinbrenner used to say it to me all the time. "I just wish Dad would have left your father alone. I didn't care that he beat somebody up in a bar. He just won."
Yes. He won.
Well, one of the things, we saw those great examples of Tommy Lasorda and Billy Martin, having a dialogue with the umpires. By the way, I don't know what hats those guys were wearing back then. I don't remember the umpires wearing those hats, but they must have done it.
I'm guessing that had to be like that was 1976, right? So it had to be like a anniversary of the country. Who knows?
Yeah.
Like those pirate hats.
But the point is, we miss those guys getting out there and arguing and yelling and screaming and throwing things at now, how can we get that back? And, still in the context of this reviews that we have and stuff now, will that ever be able to come back?
I don't see it. I think they've ruined it, and the umpires. And if you look at this generation of umpires that are coming up, they're really not, they're not like the guys that you just you saw in the replays, the guys that would stand up for themselves. These guys, they're all kind of like the same build and the same kind of attitude, and they're almost like just happy to have a job in a way. And they're not like the umpires of the past who would get in your face. So I don't see it ever coming back to that. And again, it's another reason why we don't love baseball as much as we used to love baseball.
That's right. Because everybody wants baseball to be entertainment, and so they're doing all these machinations, hopefully, to make it more entertaining. But we're taking away some of the most entertaining parts of it.
Yeah, football you can still get. In the NBA, you still get in the ref's face a little bit. Football, you still get in the ref's face. But baseball has tried to become so perfect, it's made it imperfect, if that makes any sense.
I do like the idea. What do you guys think? Because I think now I don't think it's definitive yet, but I think they're supposed to take away the where they put the play. What am I looking for? Where they have 4 infielders on one side.
The
and
shift.
All that stuff.
The
shift. Thank you. Aren't they going to take that away next year now?
It's on the docket, but I'm going to show you if you can bear with me.
Let me say something about it before you go there. One of the things I miss the most about 60s, 70s, 80s baseball is when a hitter got up to bat, he had a different job to do every time.
Right.
Sometimes that job was just to get on base, right? Sometimes that job was to move the runners over or knock the runner in.
Right.
I mean, today's hitter goes up to bat with home run, walker, or strikeout. I'm
exactly
going back to the dugout. They don't have that feeling. The great Mickey Mantle, maybe the most all-around talented player to ever play the game. Okay, he'd lay down a bunt if he was 0 for 7 or 8 because he hated going 0 for 10 for some reason, and he was so fast he could get on the left side and lay down a bunt and get a hit. So you're going to tell me Mickey Mantle wouldn't have hit against the shift? It's not that hard, guys.
Exactly.
It's not that hard to push something hard the other way, but their ego will not allow them to do it. Not only are they putting a shift on, but sometimes they even put a shift on and pitch them away.
It's crazy.
Just begging them, try to hit it this way. But their ego won't allow it. And I'm sorry, guys. That's not what the game's about.
It's
Do
ridiculous.
Your job. Get on base. Trust the guy behind you. That's how you win baseball games.
And no managers are getting in their face to go it that way. Now here, a scout. I don't know if you can see this, but a scout sent me this picture. See those lines on the base there?
Yeah.
That's where the shortstop has to stand. This is a Florida State League game. So that's what it looks like. And to me, and I'm sure to you guys, having that V just looks stupid. And
yes.
You can also in that league now, you can only throw over the first 2 times.
Oh, you're kidding.
The third time is essentially a balk. So,
wow.
So they're trying to create so much fake offense instead of, like Billy just said, if just do real offense, hit the ball the other way. It's so exciting. The fans love it.
I know.
Somebody, even when they nub a ball the other way, the fans are all excited. So,
and you have that whole half of the infield to hit. It's amazing that they don't. There's an old story that goes back because I remember talking to Wally Moon, and you guys are both old enough to remember Wally Moon.
Yeah.
And when Wally Moon was playing in the Coliseum, and they had the short left field fence, and I don't know what the dimension was. It was just over 200, I think, or something. But it was a big high screen, and he developed this thing hitting these fly balls over the fence called moonshots.
Moonshots.
Well, of course, the great Duke Snider, who hit more home runs than anybody in the decade of the 50s, by the way, at Ebbets Field, when he came to the Coliseum, and I asked Wally, how come Duke Snider wouldn't do that? He said, because he was just too proud. He had to pull the ball. And, of course, the right field in the Coliseum was like, I don't know, 500 feet or some crazy thing, So.
Well, Joey Gallo. We see with Joey Gallo.
Yeah.
Joey Gallo is hitting 162, 161. He could raise his average 100 points, 100 easy, if he just started bunting. But he's too prideful. And again, the nerds in charge, they want this. They and I think Billy Ripken Jr. did a great thing about it the other day. He said it's not that the pitching is better. It's exactly what you guys just said. They don't want to do it, and they don't care, and that's why we're seeing that. So I want to. Buck has brought it back to an extent. You know, the Mets have gone the other way pretty well. I want to see more teams do that, and you might win a championship with that.
You know, I found it fascinating. I was watching the Dodger games. By the way, the Dodgers won 8 in a row. They actually had the best record in all of baseball until a couple days ago. Then they come up to the Nationals, one of the worst teams in the league, and they just lost 2 in a row. But I was watching Soto come up, and I was thinking, okay, this guy turned down $500 million. Now check this out. He's got I forget. I think he has 20 home runs. I'm not sure.
Well, we just lost Robbie.
We lost Robbie. Oh, so it's me and you. Oh, there he is.
There he is.
So, Robbie, you're saying that Soto has well, we're getting a sound back.
Did you lose me there?
We lost you for a second.
Did you hear what his batting? Soto's batting average last night was 246.
Yes.
Now, how in the world can you pay somebody $500 million and they're batting under 250?
No, there's no reality. The reality, you know, it's almost like it is what they tell us. Now, Soto has the potential.
Yeah, no doubt.
He's a great player. And I talked to people who know him well. I talked to somebody from the Nationals the other day, and they actually said he's a good kid. And they said he's actually been beaten down by all this. You know,
wow.
You can just imagine the pressure of all this and trying to perform. So I think you're going to see a whole new player once he is traded.
I don't doubt.
And like I said, to me, the Dodgers, that's a deal they got to make. There's no question in my mind.
I'm wishing, hoping, and praying because I'd love to see him there. And by the way, we need to turn the corner here because we're running out of time, and I need to play a song for you gentlemen.
It's time, Robbie.
By another Italiano. It seems like all the Italians are surrounding me, but this Frankie Valli, Francesco Castelluccio, we just played 3 nights we played in Costa Mesa, we played in San Jose, and then we played in Las Vegas Saturday night. And we have a clip of us playing in Costa Mesa, California last Friday night. And by the way, for anybody's on the East Coast, we're going to be in Lancaster, Pennsylvania Friday night. Saturday night, we're going to be at Atlantic City at the Hard Rock Casino. And Sunday night, we're going to be in where are we going to be? We're going to be in Norfolk, Pennsylvania. Or Norfolk, Virginia, sorry. And
we got to get you down. We got to get you to St. Augustine down to the amphitheater.
And
hey, you know what?
When are you coming to Texas?
We're coming to Texas sometime in November or December, and we're going to be in Florida, but it's not going to be close to St. Augustine. I love St. Augustine, by the way.
Me too.
Great spot.
Well, let's play this Frankie Valli clip. Hey guys, how cool was it to talk together, man? And having Billy as a co-host and having Kevin on. You're practically a co-host. You've been on the show so much, Kevin.
Good to see you, Billy.
Ditto. Awesome, guys.
Billy, you got to come on our podcast too. I have a Coach and Kernan podcast. So
I dare you to invite me on.
There we are.
Dare him. There you go. Well, here's Frankie Valli singing a song that I bet you guys have heard, Can't Take My Eyes Off You.
Classic. I love it.
How many of you have never seen it? Get their names and telephone numbers in. Anyway, we had a great time here performing for you tonight. And I'd like to do a song for you right now that was written for me by my partner Bob Gaudio and producer Bob Crew. Now let's see if you remember this one. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You'd be like heaven to touch.
just too good to be true. Can't take my